Happy Tuesday. Welcome into the crowded booth. My name is Will Maness, talking some Auburn football tonight. And as you saw in the thumbnail, talking Hugh Freeze, talking about what's going on for the majority of tonight, talking about Hugh Freeze being on the hot seat. So if you don't know, you're not an Auburn fan, things are not great at Auburn. Auburn starts SEC play 0-4 for the third consecutive season under Hugh Freeze, losing 4 in a row to Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Missouri most recently in double overtime. A lot to talk about, a lot to unpack, a lot of politics to shuffle through when you talk about Auburn football and talking about Auburn head coaches. I mean, it's really bad. I've started basically referring to Auburn football as a 3-ring circus, because that's sort of what it looks like. It's not good. Hugh Freeze in his press conference yesterday was asked about getting a vote of confidence from the athletic director, John Cohen. And he kind of laughed and said, yeah, it would make everybody feel a lot better. What head coach says that? And in the last 2.5 years that Hugh Freeze has been Auburn's head coach, I find myself asking that question a lot. What head coach says that? Like, what? Who says that? It's crazy. I've gone through it on the live shows, went through it last week, just all the mind-boggling stats of Hugh Freeze's time, and it's really bad. The offense is really bad. And I want to take a look back at the Missouri game, and especially what happened in overtime. It is kind of a microcosm of the Hugh Freeze tenure, especially offensively. So I got here the full game stats. I mean, it's like Groundhog Day watching Auburn football. I mean, it really is. Really, the only difference in this game from the last couple is Auburn only had 4 penalties. Auburn only had 4 penalties in this game, where I think they were double digits in the 3 previous games. It's crazy. I mean, Auburn rushed for 150 yards. I think that's the most they've had in a game since the Baylor game. almost 4 yards a carry. That's more than good enough. The defense was the story as always. Auburn even got 2 interceptions from Bo Perbula. But they just found a way to lose. And does this have overtime? No, it does not. Where did I find that? Okay, we can go here. Yeah, 5th period. That's overtime. The first drive in overtime, Auburn got the ball first. They went -7 yards on 4 plays. And then the next drive, which was the end of the game for them, they gained 2 yards. Whereas they let Missouri score a touchdown in 7 plays. But I can't fault the defense for anything that they've done. They've been able to do. They've been the highlight of this team. They make this team worth watching. They make this team worth watching. Just another look at here's overtime only stats over here. -5 yards for Auburn in overtime. -5. And Missouri only 30 yards, but of course the touchdown being the difference. Missouri picked up a 3rd down conversion in that second overtime. It was bad. It was really bad. Talk about changing quarterbacks. Jackson Arnold, 18 of 30, 207 yards. He threw his first interception on the year, which I might take as a positive. It's the first time he's done that. Jeremiah Cobb, 111 yards on the ground. It's the first time under Hugh Freeze that Auburn lost a game when it had a 100-yard rusher. Omar Mabson, the true freshman, taking over the running back 2 spot with Damari Alston no longer with the team and Darrell Robinson still out with injury. Got his first career touchdown on his only carry. Yeah, AJ, I think he will air it out now. I would hope so. I mean, 30 passes, that's a ton. And Perbula throwing it 40 times is crazy. Bo Perbula is not a quarterback that should be throwing the ball 40 times. And, again, Jackson Arnold, a better quarterback rating, better completion percentage. And, Ahmad Hardy comes in the best running back in the country, most yards in the country, and Auburn limits him to 2.5 yards a carry, only 58 yards on 24 rushes. I mean, even if they're playing against a running back that is half as good as Ahmad Hardy, you should be winning the game. You should be winning the game when you play that way defensively. But Auburn, again, finds ways to lose games. And they did it again on Saturday night, which is why we're here talking about Hugh Freeze on the hot seat. So I think everybody's big question now is, how does Hugh Freeze still have his job? And I'm asking the same thing too. But, being an Auburn fan my whole life, I have an understanding of sort of the politics and the dynamics. It's very clear that the decision makers, the money people of Auburn, they don't see, whether it's DJ Durkin or anybody else on this staff, they don't see anybody on this staff sticking around and being the head coach next year. Whether for whatever reason, right or wrong, whatever, they just don't see it that way. And I really don't have a problem with that. I've seen a lot of people online, a lot of Auburn fans online saying, it doesn't matter. Freeze needs to go. If you promote DJ Durkin, the guy who's had head coaching experience, and he injects life into the team and they find a way to win, they win 4 games down the stretch, and you don't fire him, that's a leadership problem. I don't know, because you're dealing with a fan base, and I feel this, that is jaded and is tired of the losing and tired of the same things happening. And somebody comes in and injects life and wins games. Yeah, the fans are going to get attached. And that's what happens. And it puts the university, the administration in a tough position if that's not your guy, right? So I think, and I ultimately don't think it's going to change much if Freeze stays or goes to finish out this year. But I've said it. I said it last week. Said it on all the live shows. I think he's cooked. I don't think he can rectify this this program. I mean, that's just how bad it is. I mean, you have to go back to the 1950s before Shug Jordan was the coach to find a lower winning percentage for an Auburn head football coach. It's truly the dark ages. You've heard me say it. It's the dark ages for Auburn football, and it's shocking, and it's hard to stomach. And AJ asks, how does it keep happening, Will? I don't really know. I don't think anybody knows. I think, I really think it's the definition of insanity. You keep doing the same things over and over, expecting a different result. Hugh Freeze gets in his press conferences and, he talks about, well, we do great in the first half. And then the second half, we're not making the same plays. We're not executing the plays in the critical moments, as he likes to say, which there's a lot of truth in that. And it is true. But from where I sit, and a lot of the Auburn fan base sits, is you are the head coach. You are in control of a lot of those things. If you have players not getting the job done, take them out. Put in somebody else. And give them a shot to get the job done. Whether it's at quarterback, because we've seen Jackson Arnold in the second half of games miss a ton of throws, receivers dropping the ball. I mean, Cam Coleman dropped a walk-in touchdown pass on Saturday night. He had like 2 yards, not 2 steps, 2 yards of separation. And just drops the ball. We've seen Preston Howard, the tight end, drop a number of passes. He had 4 targets against Missouri, just 1 catch. In the fourth quarter, how much time was left? 5 minutes, 6 minutes, I think. Maybe 4 minutes left in the game. Certainly in the last third of the fourth quarter, Auburn has a 3rd and 7 or something, a manageable, maybe 3rd and long, but not 3rd and a mile, right? And he is wide open right at the first down marker and just lets the ball go right through his hands. We've seen it time and time again from him. Play somebody else. When we looked ahead at the Missouri game, we knew Brandon Frazier was banged up. So, he may not have been an option at that point. But Ryan G., who's gotten more snaps, the true freshman, he's gotten more snaps in recent weeks. Give him a chance. I mean, and at this point, I mean, you're 3, even last week, you were 3-3, right? Now you're 3-4. Now even more reason to give other guys a shot. And he needs to do it. And, unfortunately for Auburn, somebody is going to get a shot, and that's on the offensive line because All-American center Connor Lew tore his ACL against Missouri. He's done for the year. So at least somebody at one position is going to get another shot. It's a lot. And AJ says, I think you give him a chance. I think you're talking about DJ Durkin. Yeah, I mean, I don't see what it hurts. A lot of the negative feelings toward DJ Durkin are from his time as the head coach at Maryland. Obviously there was a tragedy when he was a head coach. Had a player on his team pass away while he was coaching as a result of football activities. Passed away, but he came back from that and he was still fired for fostering a toxic environment. Now you can look at that one of two ways. You can look at that as, the way that it is on paper, foster a toxic environment. You can also look at it the other way of, that program went through a lot. It had a traumatic experience and people reacted differently. Right. And now it's also been close to 10 years ago. And the way the defense is playing, the energy they have, the way they play together, all those things, I certainly don't think that incident, that time at Maryland is who DJ Durkin is, right? I think he's either changed or he's grown, or that was just a traumatic experience for everybody involved, and people handle traumatic experiences a different way. So yeah, I don't know that I would have a problem necessarily with DJ Durkin. I just don't know. My question with him is what is the ceiling? Because this is a program that should be competing for championships. He was under 500 in his 2 seasons at Maryland. It's 2 seasons. It's Maryland. Maryland's kind of, I mean, they have good recruiting base in the state of Maryland, but they're kind of on an island, I would say, they're in the Big Ten, but they're kind of an outcast in the Big Ten. And they were, a decade ago, they kind of felt similar in the ACC, that they were kind of, just kind of on an island. It's an interesting program that certainly has struggled to be successful in recent years, really the last 20 years, to be consistently near the top of the game. So I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with DJ Durkin, but I don't know what his ceiling would be. And Jonesy, here comes Jonesy trolling. Y'all better get Collins before Florida does. That'd be. I mean, we've got a Jeff Collins right now. A lot of the things that Hugh Freeze is saying sounds like things that Jeff Collins said. So, I mean, I think we've got the offensive version of him already. So that's Hugh Freeze. He's definitely on the hot seat. I don't think he coaches in 2026. I think it would take, just kind of the last thing to wrap it up, I think it would take, a blowout loss Saturday against Arkansas for him to lose his job, where it's evident that the team has quit. Because the team showed against Missouri, they have not quit. They haven't given up on Hugh Freeze, which is a good thing. And I think if the team quits, then the team gives you no choice but to fire the coach. But they're still playing. And even the offense, they're playing hard. They're just not getting the job done. And that's frustrating. And from the administration's perspective, that's what makes this such a difficult decision. And they don't want to pull the plug yet for no reason. And remember, firing coaches midseason is not something Auburn does. Brian Harsin was the first coach fired midseason. Now Terry Bowden officially resigned, but he was pretty much told to leave, and he left with 3 or 4 games left in the season. But traditionally, Auburn's not a program that pulls the plug on its head coach midseason. But if Auburn quits against Arkansas and Arkansas blows them out, which I think they're capable of doing, I'll talk about that here shortly. Or if a loss to Arkansas and then turn around with a loss to Kentucky, who is the consensus worst team in the SEC, then I don't know how you could justify keeping him. And really, Auburn is if they don't want Hugh Freeze to be the coach next year, they're putting themselves in a difficult position to find the next head coach by, because with Florida open, Penn State open, those are the other top 2 jobs that are open, and Auburn will be competing for the same candidates as Florida, as Penn State will be. So it just makes it difficult to make that move. So turning to this Saturday, Auburn heads to Fayetteville, Arkansas to face the Bobby Petrino. Yep, this is 2025. The Bobby Petrino-led Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas now a 1.5-point favorite on Sunday. Auburn opened as a 1-point favorite on the road. Now they are. Now Auburn is the underdog. The over/under set at 57.5. That's a lot of points. I know Arkansas's defense is bad, but that's a lot of points. The Auburn offense has given me no faith, no reason to think that they could score enough points for this to even be a question. I mean, the last 4 games, if Auburn could have scored 24 points in any of the last 4 games or all 4 games, they would be undefeated. That's how small the margins are for Auburn from being a top team, a team that would contend for the college football playoff. Like Hugh Freeze came out and said at SEC Media Days that they expect to compete for a playoff spot. If Auburn could have scored 24 points in any of the last 4 games, we're not having a conversation about Hugh Freeze and his job. if Auburn could have scored 24 points in each of the last 4 games, we're talking about a team that's like, hey, they can win the SEC. They're going to make the playoff. They'd be 7-0. They'd be probably a top 10 team. But the offense just hasn't gotten the job done. They haven't gotten it done. I want to take a look at Arkansas's numbers from last week against Texas A&M. I mean, 527 yards against A&M. A&M is, I would say, the best defense they've played all year. And you can look at the scoring by the quarter here. They made this thing a ball game. They were in it until the very end. Taylon Green, I've said about Taylon Green for quite a while now that I think he is probably the most underrated quarterback in the SEC. He is going to cause Auburn a ton of problems on Saturday. He was great in this game, 19 of 32, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And they got it done on the ground too. Right here, you see with Mike Washington, 16 carries, 147 yards. Taylon Green adding 86 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. Arkansas's offense is a problem. Omega Blake. Put this guy on the all-name team. How about look at that name, Omega. I'm sitting here looking at the stats. I didn't even have them up on the screen for you. Omega. Put him on the all-name team. 7 catches, 118 yards for a touchdown. Auburn's going to be in trouble. 527 yards of offense, 259 through the air, 268 on the ground. Hampered by penalties against Texas A&M, 9 for 74 yards. Their sack-adjusted rushing yards, 314. They average over 8 yards a carry. So, like I say, Auburn's going to have their work cut out for them because Arkansas's offense is really, really good. Now, where Auburn has some opportunity here is against the Arkansas defense. I've gotten really into the advanced numbers here, and I really love this site, CFB graphs with the advanced numbers going off success rate, EPA, which is basically the efficiency and really just the consistency of these teams. And these big glaring differences are the defenses. Auburn, a great defense, a top 10 defense, top 20 defense, be conservative. Number 2 in success rate against the run for Auburn defensively. And Auburn's been good running the ball too. Just Hugh Freeze chooses not to run the ball. Look at here, Arkansas, 120th in the country in success rate against drop back in the passing game and 128th against the run game. Auburn has shown they can run the ball. Will they run the ball is the question. Like I said, nothing that Auburn has shown or that Hugh Freeze has shown leads me to believe that they will do it. They certainly can do it, but will they do it? I don't know. I don't think so. Looking down here, Auburn's offense versus Arkansas's defense. Yards before contact, Auburn 15th in the country, almost 3 yards a carry before contact. Arkansas allowing almost 2.5 yards before contact, 112th in the country. And then against the pass, you're looking at an offense that's bad passing the ball and an Arkansas defense that is bad against the pass. They don't really pressure the quarterback. 32% of the time they get pressure, 75th in the country, 77th in sack EPA. Yards after catch, they're 128th in the country, almost 4 yards. Auburn hasn't been great after the catch for their receivers, 125th in the country, not even 3 yards after the catch. It's just, I think a lot of that has to do with scheme because I don't think it's any question the athletes that Auburn has at the receiver position, namely Eric Singleton. When you're throwing hitch routes and swing routes behind the line of scrimmage, it's tough to get yards after the catch. Arkansas's offense versus Auburn's defense. I think this will be the difference in the game. Auburn, great at tackling. Arkansas 104th in the country at missed tackles when they run the ball. Their ball carriers don't miss a ton of tackles. Arkansas, their offensive line has been good on the ground. 10th in yards before contact, 48th in yards after contact. Auburn right there defensively been almost as good. 17th in yards before contact, 34th in yards after contact. Against the pass, Auburn's been good at limiting quarterback run. I think Marcel Reed, what Colin Klein has done with Marcel Reed at Texas A&M is really interesting and been really big for his development in the sense of, like, last year he would run a ton. You think of him as a run-first guy a year ago. This year he's a pass-first guy, and he's been really, really good, kind of turning into a pocket passer. Taylor Green's a guy that's going to take off and run and cause Auburn fits. So I think Auburn is, for the first time, facing a quarterback that they should really be worried about to scramble EPA. Arkansas's 4th in the country, and I think that just speaks to what Taylor Green does with the ball in his hand. Auburn's 78th defensively in scramble EPA. Yards after the catch, Auburn has struggled in the secondary to get receivers down. I've seen, when you look at numbers, you the way that I see it, and I watch the game and I see something that I think I see, and then I look at the numbers and I try and think and remember what I've seen. This yards after the catch for Auburn, 92nd in the country. They're allowing 3.76 yards after the catch. Been a lot of times Auburn DBs, when they're in one-on-one or trying to make a tackle on a receiver, when it's just one defender, they've struggled to get them down. And these numbers are confirming that. So Auburn could be in trouble because Arkansas's receivers, they get over 4 yards after the catch. CFB Graphs projecting this as a close game, Auburn by less than a field goal. Like I say, I think the points are too many at 54.6. But for me, it's just more of the same. Auburn has shown me nothing offensively to make me think that they can go on the road and beat Arkansas. Although I certainly think the path, the ingredients, so to say, are there because Auburn can run the ball. It's just a matter of will they run the ball? Will Hugh Freeze stay committed to the run? And I've said this in recent weeks. If you're going to be a running team, if you want to be committed to the run, you got to be stubborn and you got to be hard-headed sometimes and just keep running, even if you're getting 2-3 yards, right? Just keep running the ball. But Hugh Freeze has shown I think he gives up on it too much and gives up on it too early. So if I'm picking this game, I'm picking Arkansas. I think they can score. Even though Auburn's defense is really good, really, really good. I don't know that Auburn can score with Arkansas. And I don't think Arkansas is going to score at will. Right? I think Auburn's going to be able to stop them. But, we've seen it late in the games. And, Hugh Freeze talking about execution even with the defense. The defense isn't executing in the fourth quarter. But a lot of that has to do with the defense being on the field a lot in the second half of games. And Arkansas, they showed they'll run the ball, they'll throw it. They'll wear down a defense. And, I think Bobby Petrino he's showing he is one of the better offensive minds in the game. And I think he knows how to win games as a head coach. He's won a ton of them. And I've got more trust that he's going to put together a game plan to beat Auburn than what Auburn can come up with and what Auburn can do and what Auburn can execute. It's been everything. I've thought it all year. Everything about Auburn's offense, it's a collective. It's a collective issue. It's not just on one person. It's not on one position. It's collective from the coaching to the game planning to the players playing on the field. I think it's a mixture of everything. It's the Auburn offense is a mess, and I don't see that changing. Like I said, starting center Connor Lew is out. That can cause a ton of problems for an offensive line. Having to go on the road. Cale Ellis, the true freshman, he's shown some guts. right? Connor Lew got banged up against Oklahoma. He came in, and it's like at least the snaps, they didn't miss a beat, right? He did a good job against Missouri as well. I can only think of one snap that was iffy, a little bit high, turned into a loss for Auburn. I think it was a run or an RPO, and the snap was high, so it threw off the timing. But I can only think of one. But yeah, I'm taking Arkansas, and if I'm gonna think about over under, I think that's too many points. I would take the under here. And I think the thing to watch out for is Auburn going to compete for 4 quarters? Is Auburn going to compete for 4 quarters, or are they going to lay down and let Arkansas do what they want to do in the second half of the game, which they've done the last 4 games? But Hugh Freeze keeps preaching it, and he is right. What he's saying is correct. There is hope for Auburn to turn things around and finish this year strong. They just played 4 teams that are good enough to make the playoff. Right? They faced 4 top 20 teams. Missouri may have been top 10 had they beaten Alabama the week before. But they just played 4 top 20 teams, 4 teams that are more than good enough to make the playoff. Auburn's through the hardest part of their schedule. Arkansas, on paper, Auburn is the better team. Kentucky, Auburn is the better team. Vanderbilt, I think it's more even. Mercer, Auburn's a better team. And you got nothing but love and respect for Mercer. And then after that's the Iron Bowl. And we know anything can happen. Anything can happen in the Iron Bowl. Jonesy has some great comments. Brom or Alex Golish would do well at Auburn. I think Jeff Brom is the type of coach that would be good anywhere. I think Jeff Brom is one of the best coaches in the country. He certainly gets his team up, and he wins big games. I mean, the guy was winning games at Purdue. He played for a Big Ten championship at Purdue. He beat number 1 Iowa. He beat number 1 Ohio State at Purdue. He just went and beat number 2 Miami at Miami. At Louisville. He's already played for an ACC championship. But Jeff Brom is at his alma mater. He's at Louisville. He's at probably his dream job. His brother is his offensive coordinator. I don't see him leaving if it's not for a premier flagship, number 1 school in the state type program. I don't know that he leaves for an Auburn. Jones says he can get way better talent at Auburn than at Louisville. I mean, I guess so. But, I mean, where Brom is regionally, where he's from, where he's had the most success, where he recruits, like Louisville and Kentucky, they got to go into Ohio. They got to go into Indiana. They got to go into Virginia, surrounding states. He's done well up there. Hasn't recruited much in the Deep South, where you have to recruit at Auburn. So I don't know. And I don't know that Brom would leave. But, I say all that, but then again, any coach that has tried to recruit at Auburn has recruited well, at least in the top 15. Right? I'll say it again. Any coach that has tried to recruit at Auburn has been successful, has had top 15 classes every year. So, I think a lot of what I said is overblown, that he's never been in the Deep South. I think a lot of that's overblown, and I overblew it myself. But that's concern from people. Alex Golish, I just don't know that he's done it enough. You know what I mean? I think his mentality is great. I think his attention to detail, the way he manages games for South Florida, I think it's all great. He just hasn't done it very long, right? And is he ready for a job like Auburn? Because look, if Auburn's firing Hugh Freeze, and you hear me talking about it, you see other fans online talking about it, Auburn is ready to have another winner, right? Auburn fans are ready for a winner, and if you're not winning, you're going to hear it, right? Like Hugh Freeze is hearing it right now. You're going to hear it. Is he ready for that? Is he ready for that pressure cooker? I don't know. Then Jones, you had another. Would you take Bobby Petrino at Auburn? That's so funny. because he was almost the coach in 2004. Would I take him in 2026? I don't think I would. Just because, like, I mean, Bobby Petrino's a great coach, right? He's a great mind. He was great at Louisville twice. He's great at Arkansas the first go around. He's rejuvenated them now. He's putting himself in a great position to get the job full time for next year. How would he do it in Auburn? Right? How would he do it, Auburn? I don't know. Another thing that was kind of going around on Twitter a lot today was Steve Sarkisian's comments. He was asked about Billy Napier being fired, and Texas is obviously struggling. He was asked if he would ever consider giving up play calling. He said, no, that's what got me this job. That's what got me to be the head coach at Texas was play calling. A lot of people made a great point that in the playoff era since 2014, well, I guess, yeah, since 2014, there hasn't been a national championship team whose head coach was the primary play caller. It hasn't happened. And, that's Hugh Freeze took back on play calling after his first year at Auburn. And the offense has been kind of a mess the last 2 years. Right? And you could have said it was talent last year. You can't say that this year. It's been a mess. And I'm not really interested in offensive coordinator being the head coach because I think there's too much. I think there's too much on the plate for a head coach to add on play calling. I think in 2025 with NIL, all that, you got to have, and a lot of programs doing this, going the NFL model, getting a general manager, getting more recruiting and player relations and personnel people to handle a lot of recruiting. I think a head coach needs to be a strong recruiter, a great leader, a great motivator, right? And I think the head coach should go and get an offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator that are just X's and O's gurus, right? That they handle the X's and O's, and the head coach manages the game, manages the staff, manages the players, and recruits, right? And he's really the closer in recruiting, right? I don't think that in this day and age in college football that you're going to have, certainly not national championship playoff type success with a head coach and a play caller at a big program, at an SEC or a Big Ten program, ACC, a Power 4 program. I don't think your head coach can be your primary play caller because there's so many other things to do. And I think we're seeing that at Auburn with Hugh Freeze, because what's happening is you've got Derek Nix, the offensive coordinator, and he's the running backs coach, and Kent Austin, who is the quarterbacks coach. We've talked about this since fall camp. Derek Nix is kind of like the run game coordinator, and Kent Austin's like the passing game coordinator, right? So Derek Nix is taking first and second down and short yardage situations, and he's game planning and trying to scheme up what plays Auburn's going to run in those situations. And Kent Austin's taking third and longs and second and longs and kind of scheming up and figuring out what pass plays they're going to do. And they're working together, working in tandem during the week, game planning. And Hugh Freeze can't be in all those meetings. He's got to be in other meetings. He's got to do other things. He's got to be the politician because he's the head coach. He's got to go kiss the babies. He's got to go to pancake breakfast. He's got to go to all these other things. He's got to get his round of golf in. I'm just kidding. But he probably is. He's got to do so many other things because he is the face of the football program, right? He's the face. He can't be in all these meetings. And then you get to game day on Saturday and they say, okay, coach, here's your play sheet. And they've got it broken down for these situations, the plays that they're going to call, but it's disjointed, right? I don't think that you can set plays up. That's the gift of a good play caller. That's the gift of a Lane Kiffin, because that dude knows how to set up. He could set up anybody. He can set up any defense with any plays and have a lot of success, right? Will Stein at Oregon does that. That's what the good offensive coordinators do. They set up, they're able to set up defenses. And when your head coach is not in those meetings and doesn't know the full plan and then calls the plays, that's why it looks so disjointed a lot of times. And I just think that there's too much on the head coach's plate to also be the primary play caller offensively or even defensively if you want to be at the top of the game. I just think it's too much. Who do I want? None of the names that you've thrown at me, Jonesy. Rhett Lashley, James Franklin, Eli Drinkwitz, Fran Brown. I like all those names. None of them would be my first choice. My first choice is John Summerall at Tulane because I think I love John Summerall's mentality. I think that he is a hold no bars, do whatever it takes to win. I think he's a guy that he's a hungry guy that wants to win and will want to win at any cost. But the thing about him is he's not flashy about it, right? It's not me. Look what I've done. Look what I can do. Look what I've accomplished. It's look at what my players have done. Look at what my assistant coaches have done. And I think the way he leads Tulane's program, yes, Jones, you're exactly right, has a little bit of edge to him. I think that's what Auburn is missing. I think Auburn's been missing it for a while. They had it for a minute there with Brian Harsin. But again, Brian Harsin was flash. A little too much flash, right? And I don't think that Summerall has that about him. That kind of flash, that ego I'm talking about that you see with a lot of young coaches. I think Summerall's young, hungry, wants to win. I think he's a rising star. I do. I think he's a rising star, and I think Auburn needs to jump on it, take the opportunity before other SEC programs. Kentucky, talk last week was Kentucky. Their boosters and administration are getting together, deciding do they want to keep going with Mark Stoops. John Summerall was the linebackers coach for Mark Stoops at Kentucky before he got the Troy head coaching job. Ole Miss, if it comes open, if Kiffin decides to leave, Arkansas would be open. I think Auburn should jump on the opportunity. That's who I want to see. And he was at Troy. Troy has been a place that historically is difficult to win. Larry Blakeney's the only guy that's won at Troy. Took him from Division II to FBS. He won 11 games at Troy. Neil Brown took over. He won some, but I love Summerall. I do. I've found myself watching his press conferences and some Tulane things, and it just makes me like him even more. I think what I like the most about him, I think, is I watched his press conference after they played Tulsa, and that was their first conference game, American Conference game. Tulsa's coming off their upset win over Oklahoma State, so they're definitely riding high after that, and they won the game. Summerall thought that they didn't play well, but the way that he handled the press conference and the way that he criticized his players to the media, I think is the way you do it. He didn't throw them under the bus, but he pointed out mistakes and how they have to get better, and they're going to work to get better. Whereas the last 3 years, all I've heard is a head coach say, well, we didn't win the game because we didn't make the plays. And I don't know why. I don't know why the plays didn't work. I'm over that messaging. Jonesy saying Arkansas is a dead-end job. Yeah. Yeah, I think it kind of is. It's a bit of a dead end and a really difficult job for a number of reasons. You're toward the bottom of the SEC just in prestige, and so you have to get over that hump. You can't. There's not a lot of high school talent in Arkansas, so you're having to go into Tennessee. You're having to go into Mississippi, which has really come up in the last couple of years, Louisiana, Texas. And you're not going to be any kid's first choice, right? And if you have the handful of 5-star and 4-stars that maybe come out of the state of Arkansas, you're probably not their first choice either, right? So it's a tough place to go. That's why I've said from day one, I think that's Gus Malzahn's job. I think it's Gus Malzahn's job because of where he is in his career and what Arkansas is. And it is a very difficult job. But then again, a guy like Summerall, I don't think he's going to back down from a challenge. I think he would like it. But Summerall's an Alabama native, so maybe coming back to Alabama would interest him. But yeah, I love John Summerall. I think he's the guy. So I'm going to call it there tonight. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate you hanging out. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything we do. We're live Sundays and Wednesdays talking college football. Bryce talking Georgia Tech one night during the week. I'm talking Auburn one night during the week. Talking college football all the time. If you're not on the YouTube, head over there and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything we do. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The crowded booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Coon.